Thomas Drance. Go subscribe to him. Follow him on Twitter. Good guy. All right. Get some Canucks news from The Athletic there from Drancer. Multiple UFAs still available that the Canucks are tracking. I'm going to assume it's going to be Roslovic plus a few more guys. I did make a video on that. Definitely go check it out. It's actually doing really well. So thank you guys very, very much for that. He also says doesn't see anything happening immediately, but are actively exploring. The fact that they're still exploring is always a nice good sign. They're not just completely on in the Bahamas or Cancun or whatever the hell they're going to be vacationing on. Obviously, they need to figure out their cap space, right? They need to add flexibility. He says to sign that UFA, the most obvious names is Bluger and again Joshua, and maybe you could even throw a guy like Hoglander in there, but I would be wary to go out and trade him. Now, also, we talked a little bit about Shilovs already, but the Canucks knew that trading him for a return, we're going to get a negative emotional reaction from the fans. We kind of saw this coming, Corey. Like we said, like even during our news thing, it was going to be around a fourth rounder, maybe a third rounder if we're really lucky, but it was most likely a fourth rounder plus a prospect. We got exactly that. So we weren't too disappointed. We kind of saw that coming. But maybe people that are not like kind of in tune with the Canucks, maybe they were just, I think they're just sad because it's such a nice guy, a guy we love so much, got traded. That's always kind of shitty to see.
Playoff MVP that brought a championship to the organization, right? Like there's an emotional connection to that guy. He, and he was the playoff hero last year. There's all sorts of funny memes, with JT Miller wearing that pink shirt of his, picture of him like staring off into space with like ice packs on his head. And, he's a handsome, cute little guy that everyone just kind of likes.
Yeah, he's an awesome individual. Great human being. We've never heard a bad thing about the guy. Teams were interested in him as a package with the 15th overall. That was kind of interesting. Canucks held firm that the acquisition price was a fourth-round pick, which is good because that's pretty much what he should have gotten. It was a 2027. I believe I said in the previous video that it was a deep draft. I was thinking the next year's draft, which is the 26th draft. I'm not really sure how deep the 27 draft is.
It doesn't really matter when you're getting into past the second round anyway. Like
fair enough.
Yeah.
They want to see him work with their development program. So
that's for Chase Stillman. That point, that last point is about Chase Stillman.
Chase
Stillman work with the development program.
Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. And you know what? Chase Stillman, he has a lot to prove. And now he has a new scenery. We've seen guys who didn't live up to expectations go on another team and have a decent career. Is he going to be a full-time AHLer? Most likely. But you never know, right? You never know. He might develop into a fourth liner. That would be perfectly fine in this situation. Also, he's a physical guy. Why not give him a run, right?
He's a Tristan Nielsen replacement in Abbotsford, which I think is actually that's valuable in a way. As someone who frequently goes to Abbotsford Canucks games, thumbs up. I would love to have another like hard-nosed grinder down there.
And apparently a character guy as well, which is always nice to have, right? Bottom of the roster are planning for both Pettersson and Willander to make the roster. This is the point I really wanted to talk about. Because obviously Pettersson, everybody's expecting him to be on the roster. I think it would be a crime if he's not on the roster. I already made many takes on this. He has to be on the roster. I don't care, especially because he was not on that Abbey run. He lost out way too much experience to have a guy to just sit all year and then suddenly go into training camp, not make the team. That would be a disaster. He's making the team. Now,
I don't think that's a controversial statement by anyone that he's making the team.
We've heard people that are still saying there's some people on Twitter I have seen that said, you need to set
they
him
don't
out,
know what they're talking about. He's making the team. Everyone has assumed the team itself had said he's an NHL player. Like he's making the team. They expect him to make the team and they expect him to play regular full-time minutes in all situations. Like he's making the team. The interesting part is Willander. The interesting part is they expect him to make the team.
Yes. So, but just to finish my point on Pettersson, maybe the way people are thinking is not when we say make the team, we mean make the team as our number 5th or 6th defender, not make the team as a guy who's going to be sitting and watching the games for half the season. No, I mean a regular to make the team and play as a regular shift. This is why I still believe there is a trade coming. But the bigger part of that, like you said, was Tom Willander. Tom Willander. This is something that caught me off guard when he mentioned this. They expect him. They're both planning him to make this team, make the roster. That means they're expecting him to be on the team and play regular minutes and not just have him go on the farm, which you can easily do and get experience down there and play regular minutes up there. That means we have a lot of extra defense. Like we have Forbert, we have DPD, we have Willander, we have Mancini, and we have
Olivier
Joseph, right? So we have 5 guys there fighting for technically 2, maybe 3 spots if you count the.
That'd be 3 spots.
Yes, 3 spots, but 2 regular starting spots, I would say. But I guess you can kind of put them up and down, right? So if Willander is expected to be on the team, I still feel like it's good to have depth. I'm all for depth, but we have holes elsewhere in the lineup. And I would be perfectly fine with trading a guy like Mancini and something to package again to see if we can find a second line center. Or, you know what, package Joshua with Mancini and something, get some sort of upgrade there, and then sign one of those guys like Roslovic or whatever else you want in the UFA market. There's ways to move that around, right, Corey?
Yeah, what's really interesting about expecting Willander to make the team, well, people who watched our roster breakdown video will know that for him to make the team, or Mancini, would mean that there has to be a trade unless they're comfortable rolling with a 22-man roster rather than a full 23-man roster, which also means they have to be comfortable waiving one of Carlson or Baines, which is also different than what has been reported where they want both of them to make the team. So it really does seem that all ties in with they want to clear cap space. I'm really curious to see if they end up just trading away Bluger. I think it's a bad idea, but trading away a Bluger just for cap space for that flexibility.
Very interesting. So that was definitely a talking point. Open to leaving Lecker Mackey in the NHL. Sasson is viewed by the Canucks as a winger. The AHL, sorry. I apologize. AHL, which a lot of people expected. Sasson's viewed as a winger. I've been talking about this for the longest time. I see Sasson eventually making the NHL. I even want him to make the NHL roster straight on development camp. That's how high I am on this guy. We need speed, and this guy gives you speed. He doesn't have to be the best defensive player in the world as a 4th line right winger or left winger. He doesn't. All right. The guy's super young. He's fast. Or not super young. He's young.
Not
he's
super young
fast.
anymore.
The guy has enough experience now in the AHL, a couple seasons now. I'm ready to give him a run as a 4th line right winger. I am more than okay with that. The guy has just, every time I watch him play, man, the guy creates, I'm fired up today. The guy creates energy, right? He forechecks. He's on the puck and he has a decent shot. Like the guy skates well. Like this is a guy who's not going to make a crazy impact, but he can develop into a 3rd line right winger. I believe in it. So we'll see, right? We will see. Aturatu is a heavy favorite to make the team out of training camp. We've talked about this many times. We think that's going to happen.
He's going to make the team.
Exactly. And Baines and Carlson have the inside track to make the team. I think Baines personally needs a little bit more time. He's a little too inconsistent to me. Also, Carlson has more experience in the NHL, and I don't think he has anything left to prove in the AHL. I'm ready to see him as an NHL regular. See if he can run with it. And if he fumbles at all, you can have Baines come in there and replace him. No problems. If he has a hot start to the AHL, I am fine with that.
One problem, because Baines needs waivers.
Like that's a good point. Do you think someone will pick him up?
Yeah, I think someone might. The thing with Baines that holds him back is it's not even so much his foot speed, it's his burst. It's his first steps. He just doesn't do everything at a fast enough pace at the NHL level yet. But he does in the AHL. Like AHL, he pops and he just dominates when he's out there as a playmaker with so much chippiness. His shot is garbage. He has just such a weak shot.
Garbage.
It needs
it's
bad.
It's
pretty bad for like, it's not NHL caliber, but the rest of his game is there, and so he just needs this burst.
I can see him making the NHL. I could as a regular. It's just I just think a little bit more seasoning would good. Surrey boy, he'll make the team. He'll be a fan favorite. We'll love him, and everything will be fine. I feel like there's other people currently that should be a little bit above him, and that's not even a slight, right? Like it just means that we have decent depth. in our organizational pool, which is important, right?
And you got to remember, Sasson still is waiver exempt. So that's the main, that's a big factor. That is really
that's a good point.
big factor. And that's why you see Ratu's
Mm.
a heavy favorite, and then these two guys have the inside track.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all going to require, those three require waivers, and Sasson doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a way of preserving depth, right? Like if all of a sudden you waive Carlson and he gets taken, well, you've lost a good chunk of depth already right there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, to the Quinn Hughes extension. This has been heavily talked about. Canucks can offer Quinn Hughes an 8-year contract until mid-September 2026. Afterwards, he'll fall under the new CBA and will be limited to a 7-year contract. If Hughes goes to UFA, he'll only be able to get a 6-year contract. And so Drance is saying the Canucks now have significant leverage in the huge contract or trade talks. Now, let me start off with this. We did make Tyler Myers' video, by the way, and I talked a little bit about this Quinn Hughes because I really wanted to really go deep into it with this news video. So right off the bat, is it leverage? I'm going to personally say it's sure. Of course, it's an extra $15 to $30 million. It's a lot of money. It is leverage. But the Quinn Hughes situation is a little unique. He wants to play with his brothers. He could easily say, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm not going to sign in Vancouver after 1 year. The Canucks trade him, and then he signs in New Jersey for 3 years and then maximizes his big contract the next one. It's not like he's going to get any worse, in my opinion. He doesn't have to sign that super long contract in New Jersey either. He can shorter one, and then he can sign a long one if he decides to leave. Now, with the Canucks, again, he can do something similar. But if he wants that long-term, stable, like I actually feel like the Canucks would go to $60 million, to be honest. I personally do. Sure. I think they would go $60 million times 8 to just do everything in their power to keep that guy in the organization. And I would be pleasant, or not pleasantly, I would be pretty surprised if Quinn wouldn't take something like that to stay. But again, we don't really know what's going on in his head. We have no idea. He
probably honestly doesn't know. Like,
that's
there's
true.
There's a lot of assumptions being made about what Quinn Hughes wants.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this every year in multiple sports about what a player wants. And oftentimes we don't know. No one knows, especially like this far out. Like, yeah, maybe he wants to play with his brothers, but maybe also just wants to hang out with his brothers in the summer, and he doesn't want to be around them all the time.
Corey, but what about what Buble said here? What he said, shut up to Wyshynski there. No, that's actually, that's pretty funny. Actually, I was going to talk about that at the end, but yeah, this Quinn Hughes situation is honestly pretty fascinating because we don't really know how this is going to go, but it's definitely going to be the biggest story of the season, especially if we have a slow start. God forbid we have a slow start. I think the noise is going to get pretty loud. And hey, if we have a really good start, I think maybe not as much noise, but people are going to be like, oh, I guess we're feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit better, for Quinn staying. So it's just one of those side stories that are going to be going through the season. And the fact is, with the new CBA, it does add some leverage to Vancouver, but is it enough to really make an impact because it's Quinn Hughes in a situation so unique with the whole family and the brothers thing? Who knows, right? We don't really know what his priorities really are, right?
It's really interesting to me that the new CBA doesn't take effect until like September 26th, I believe is the date, and not July 1st of 2026, which is odd. It's odd to me that when Drance put that into the end and then confirmed that as well in a separate tweet, I just went, wait, why wouldn't you just have it start on the first day? Why are you waiting until this? So odd, but hey, any little bit of leverage, whether that's what Hughes wants or doesn't want or whatever, any little bit is still helpful for the Canucks right now.
Absolutely. And so Thomas Drance, great article. I love that read. Also, guys, I did make a Tyler Myers video, and there's a lot of content coming as usual. If you guys like this news video, leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe. Also follow Corey at V Canucks News over there on Twitter. This was a 2-part news video. So make sure you watch part 1 and you watch part 2. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Adios.